Welcome to the next session in the Cardiovascular Rehabilitation Education series. My name is Guienne Prue and I am a physiotherapist in the Cardiac Rehab program. Today we will be talking about the next steps to consider for your exercise program. I want to remind you that the information presented today is not a substitute for, nor does it replace professional medical advice that you receive. In this session, I will be presenting the benefits and the guidelines for strength training. I will then provide tips on adding exercises for flexibility into your routine. And then I will talk about some seasonal factors to consider when exercising. A well-rounded exercise program will include aerobic exercise, stretching, and strength training. Resistance training offers many benefits such as improved posture, better protection against injury, less pain in the back and other joints, improved confidence, better self-image, stronger bones, improved function, especially in our older years, and increasing metabolism, which may help in weight management. The more muscles you have, the more calories you burn throughout the course of your day, even when you're sitting still. You can use many different types of equipment for strength training. One of the least expensive options are elastic bands or tubing. The bands are thin, flat pieces of elastic, usually sold in lengths of 4 or 5 feet long. The tubing is usually sold with a handle. They are color-coded for the various resistance levels. Usually the lighter colors are easier. You can also buy elastic loops, which are circles of elastic band used for leg exercises. Hand weights or dumbbells are the next option. Some people will use household objects, especially if you don't need very heavy resistance when you're starting out. An example would be a can of food or a water-filled bottle. Some people also include exercises where you simply move your body weight against gravity, such as a squat or a lunge. Next, I will review the guidelines for strength training. We often talk about the FIT prescription when giving guidelines for exercise, and this stands for frequency, intensity, time, and type. We just talked about the type, but let's go over the other guidelines. In terms of frequency, strength training should be done a minimum of 2 times a week and a maximum of every second day for the same muscles. You should allow at least 48 hours between your sessions for muscle recovery. You can do strength training more often, but you should then alternate which muscles you are exercising. For example, you could do upper body exercises one day, lower body and core exercises the next day. To help you gauge your exercise intensity, you can use the RPE scale that was reviewed in the previous session on exercise. As a reminder, this is what it looks like. It is the rating of your level of effort, and it goes from 6, which is nothing at all, no effort or fatigue, to 20, which is maximal. We recommend aiming for an RPE of 11 to 13, light to somewhat hard to start. Some of you may then progress to aim for an RPE of 15 or hard once you get used to the strength training sessions. Another way of gauging your exercise intensity is the number of repetitions that you are able to do. The duration of your workouts will depend on the number of sets and repetitions, the number of different exercises that you choose to do, along with the rest time. In case you are not familiar with the terms, reps or repetitions are the number of times that an exercise or lift is repeated in a row without stopping, whereas a set is a series of repetitions. We recommend that you aim for 10 to 15 repetitions per set and 2 to 4 sets of the same exercise, with most people completing 2 to 3 sets. If you have not done any strength training before or are restarting after a lengthy break, we recommend starting with just 1 set. Remember that any strength training is better than none. It is also better to add a variety of exercises than to do many sets of only a few exercises. If you are not able to do 10 repetitions of a row, then the resistance is too much, and we advise you to find a lighter resistance or weight or not go as deep into the movement if you are doing body weight exercises. Between sets of the same exercise, you should be resting a minimum of 2 to 3 minutes to allow the muscle to recover. Otherwise, you may not be able to get through as many reps in your next set. There are different ways to structure your workout. The classic way is to do the first set, take a break, and then do the second set of the same exercise before you move on to exercise number 2. There are other ways that you can do it. You can decide to do 1 set of each of your exercises and then come back and do a second set of each of the exercises again. Some people will pair 2 exercises that use a similar position or similar weight level. Do exercise 1 and then go to exercise 2. Come back to exercise 1 and go back to exercise 2 before they progress to the next pair of exercises. In terms of increasing your intensity, again, you have a few options. The easiest is just to increase the number of repetitions. For example, start with 10 reps and increase gradually up to 15. Once you can easily do 15 reps, you can increase the weight or resistance. You may then have to decrease the number of reps when you have increased this weight level and work your way back up. As an example, if you've reached 15 reps with 3 pounds, you go back down to 10 reps and move up to 5 pounds. You can certainly go beyond 15 repetitions, but you will then be working on endurance more than just the strength. This may be used if there's a big jump between the next level and you don't feel ready to make that change. We are often asked when participants can start doing resistance or strength training after their heart event or procedure. If you've had an open heart surgery with an incision in the middle of your chest, such as bypass surgery, valve repair, or replacement, we recommend waiting 6 to 8 weeks after your surgery date to allow the breastbone to heal. Those of you who have had mini incisions on the side of your chest do not have these restrictions, but you can let pain be your guide. Remember that you will have to start with light weights, usually less than 10 pounds, and that some exercises will affect your chest more than others. For example, bicep curls are much easier on the chest than a front shoulder or side shoulder raise. After a heart attack, we recommend waiting 5 weeks to start strength training and 3 weeks for a stent without a heart attack. We recommend that you do at least a minimum of 2 weeks of aerobic exercise before you proceed to strength training. Depending on how long you've been away from strength training, even if you haven't had open heart surgery, we do recommend starting back with about 50% of what you were doing before your intervention or heart event. Now let's review some safety tips. The first and most important is to breathe properly. You want to avoid holding your breath, grunting, bearing down, using momentum to lift something, both in your strength training sessions and when lifting in everyday life. The best way to ensure that you are not holding your breath is to breathe out as you lift and breathe in as you come back to the starting position. Holding your breath while lifting or straining can significantly increase your blood pressure and make it harder for your heart to pump effectively against that pressure. Always warm up and cool down. You can warm up with a few minutes on cardio equipment or walking around your home and moving the joints through the movements that you will be doing during your workout, either with no weight or lighter weights. Cool down should include some stretching, as this will help cut down on the muscle soreness that is common to have a day or two after strength training, especially in your first few sessions. It is usually recommended to drink plenty of water during your workouts, especially if you are working out more than 20 minutes. However, those of you who have been given a fluid restriction should be careful with the amount of liquids that you drink. It is best to start with larger muscle groups and work your way to the smaller muscles. For example, you should start with shoulder muscles before doing elbow muscles. Alternating between a push and a pull motion will ensure that you are working both sides of your joints and help achieve balance between your muscle groups. You also want to use good form and posture. If you're doing standing work, you should place your feet shoulder width apart. A good base of support makes you more solid. You should also unlock your knees and bend them ever so slightly, as this will also help your base of support and prevent you from arching your back too much. If you know how to engage your lower abdominal muscles, this will also help to protect your low back. Just remember that if you have balance issues or you simply have a low energy level, you can certainly do many of the exercises in sitting. As much as possible, try to work through the full range of motion. You also want to take your time as you are moving through the movement, following your breathing. Keep it slow to avoid hyperventilating. Remember to adjust the weight or resistance that you are using from one muscle group to the other. Smaller muscle groups will require lighter weights than larger ones. If you only have one weight or resistance level for your elastic band, you can adjust the number of repetitions instead. Now let's talk about balance and core exercises. It's never too early to start working on your balance. We don't have to wait until we are experiencing a balance issue to start working on this. You will want to stand close to something solid that you can easily grab if you start to lose your balance. Simple exercises include gentle side-to-side weight shifts, sidestepping, walking backwards, pretending to walk on a line, and standing on one foot. You don't have to lift it very high, just so that it's not touching the ground. Once you can do this standing still, you can add some more challenge by moving the arms, the non-supporting leg, or even your upper body. The latter changes your visual field, and it will be more challenging than just moving an arm or leg. You can also progress to closing your eyes, but again, make sure that you hover your hand over something solid like a counter. If you are having lots of difficulty with your balance already, you should have somebody nearby to help you, and consider getting help from a professional such as a physiotherapist. Core exercises work the muscles of the middle of your body, the ones that help you keep your balance. They are below the shoulders and above the knees. These exercises often have you exercising more than one muscle group at a time. Examples of core exercises include abdominal exercises, whether you're working the lower abdominals with some leg movements or the upper abdominals with a crunch. Other examples include squats, lunges, side leg raises, and bridging, which is lifting the hips off the floor when you are lying on your back. These are just a few of the exercises listed in the physical activity guide that was provided to you by the person who did your initial assessment at the beginning of your program. Stretching is our next topic. Stretching can help improve your flexibility at any age. Being more flexible makes everything that you do easier, more comfortable. You can stretch at any time, but the best time is after a workout as part of your cool down when your muscles and your tendons are warmed up. No special equipment is required for stretching. However, you may find the use of a stretching strap helpful with certain exercises. The benefits of stretching are improved muscle and joint flexibility, greater mobility, better alignment and balance of your body, resulting in better posture, less risk of injury, reduced muscle tension and stress, as well as improved energy and mental clarity. Let's review the guidelines for stretching. We recommend stretching at least 2 to 3 times a week for each muscle, but we can stretch as often as we like. We can even stretch more than once per day. Stretches should be held a minimum of 15 seconds, but 30 seconds is better, especially as we get older and it takes longer for the tissues to stretch. Longer holds often allow you to go further into the movement. We usually recommend static stretching at the end of your workouts. This means that you hold the position without movement. Make sure that you're not holding your breath when you are stretching. You should just be gently breathing in and out. A few notes on yoga. It is a physical, mental, and spiritual practice or discipline, which can include breath control, meditation, and of course, adopting specific body postures for health and relaxation. Regular yoga practice can improve our well-being and quality of life, help to reduce stress, anxiety, fatigue, and depression. It can help improve sleep, balance and flexibility, and body strength, particularly leg and core strength. It can help improve exercise capacity, manage blood pressure, blood sugar, and cholesterol. As you can see, it can be a great addition to aerobic exercise and strength training. Finally, let's go over some seasonal considerations. Many people with heart issues, especially those with heart dysfunction, need to be careful with extremes of temperature, both cold, windy days and hot, humid weather. We all know there are challenges to exercising in the wintertime in this part of the world. Cold air can make the blood vessels narrow in our hands and feet to prevent heat loss in the center of our body. Our lungs can also be sensitive to the cold. We have a reflex that can cause our airways to tighten when exposed to cold air. Those who are prone to angina may feel it more easily. It doesn't mean that you can never exercise outside in winter. It just depends on how sensitive you are to the cold. The following tips can help exercise in winter safely. Choose your timing. Exercise in the afternoon as it will be warmer than in the morning. Also, avoid going out when the wind is blowing hard. Ensure that you have good winter clothing and footwear. Dress in layers. Cover your head and your hands. Some may even benefit from using a loose scarf over the nose and mouth to warm up the air before it reaches the lungs. You may have to reduce your pace, especially if it is particularly cold and or windy, or you are trudging through snow. Know that certain medications such as beta blockers can make you less tolerant to the extremes of temperature. You may feel that you don't tolerate the cold as well as you did in previous years. Your hands and feet may get cold more easily. Last but not least, many people benefit from having an indoor option for exercise in winter. This could be going to a gym or a recreation center, walking in a mall, using home exercise equipment, or even an exercise video. Snow shoveling, everyone's favorite topic. Snow shoveling is hard work and can be harmful to your heart for a number of reasons. It can significantly increase your heart rate and blood pressure depending on the heaviness of the snow. Very cold days bring light, fluffy snow, but mild weather brings wet, heavy snow. Many other factors affect the difficulty of snow shoveling. The size and weight of your shovel, how much snow you are putting in your shovel, your pace, and your technique. The workload of snow shoveling can be compared to climbing stairs at a fast pace, sawing wood, jogging, or even running. It is often more intense than many people's exercise capacity. For this reason, snow shoveling is not recommended for many people who have heart issues. If possible, arrange for someone else to do the snow removal for you. If you choose to shovel snow, here are some considerations for you to follow. Include a gradual warm-up and cool-down, just as you would for any other exercise. Allow plenty of time to avoid rushing. Take breaks as needed. Wait at least an hour after your meal before you shovel snow. Use a smaller, lighter shovel and reduce the amount of snow that you put in the shovel. Avoid lifting the shovel too high. And finally, use the muscles of your legs to assist you, not just using the upper body. And if possible, push the snow instead of lifting it. However, remember that lifting small amounts of snow at a time is likely easier than pushing very deep piles of snow. Now that we've talked about the cold, let's talk about the heat. Summer heat brings its own particular challenges to exercise. Exercising in the heat puts a lot of stress on our body to maintain the core temperature and fluid balance. Exercise makes us generate more heat and the body temperature increases. To compensate, the body directs blood flow to the skin so that we can sweat it out and cool the body. This can be quite effective to a certain degree, but if you have very bright sun, high humidity, and a lack of wind, it is possible to overcome our body's ability to dissipate the heat, and the body temperature can start to go up to dangerous levels. Some of the symptoms that you might experience if you are not coping with the heat include chills, nausea, dizziness, and weakness. You might be sweating profusely, but your skin feels cool and clammy. Here are some tips to cope with the heat of summer. Stay hydrated, preferably drinking water. Remember that sports drinks often have high levels of salt. Choose your timing, the opposite of winter. Exercise earlier in the morning or later in the evening at the coolest parts of the day. Choose light, loose, comfortable clothing. Dry fit clothing that whisks away the moisture allows you to get rid of the heat a little better. Wear sunscreen. This is recommended for all of us, but especially for those who are on medications. There are a number of heart medications that can make you more susceptible to burning, such as cholesterol-lowering drugs and water pills. Many heart medications, such as beta blockers and blood pressure medication, may also make you less tolerant to the heat. You may again need to reduce your pace or exercise indoors, particularly on hot, humid days and those with poor air quality. People with heart disease are more likely to experience negative effects from air pollution. We now have access to reports on air quality, a tool called the Air Quality Health Index. It's a color-coded scale from 1 to 10, designated to help people understand what the air quality around means to our health and make decisions on activity and exercise. People with heart, lung, and other chronic conditions may need to choose to exercise indoors or at least reduce the intensity and duration of their exercise on days with poor air quality. There are a number of places where you can find this information, such as the Weather Network, both on TV and on their website, weather.gc.ca, and Ottawa Public Health. This brings us to the end of this session. I thank you again for your attention and remind you to follow up with the mentor guiding your cardiac rehab program if you have specific questions.